It is Christmas Eve, and in case you're wondering, even this close to the most magical day of the year, even with all the Christmas wonder and cheer, Democrats, well, they still can't help but be totally unhinged, and here is their queen.
Oh, I don't think we're witnessing the start of an oligarchy. I think we are fully here. You literally have a completely unelected billionaire who has just taken over. We are here, and we are going to witness very unprecedented moments come January. Elon Musk, I believe, does create problems for Trump. And I've been seeing over the course of the last week that when Elon tweets something and when Trump tweets something, Republicans don't know. I've said this earlier. Republicans don't know who their daddy is. Like, they don't know which one they need to be listening to first, and it's scrambled. I'm not going to be here to tell you here's the definitive answer, but because I think that the time that we are about to enter is going to be highly experimental.
Well, Democrats have now added a new illness to their repertoire of nutcasery, and it's EDS. Elon derangement syndrome, because billionaires who contribute to elections and sway policy decisions are just wretched and wrong. Oh, except for George and Alex Soros, of course. They are noble and concerned global citizens. I mean, let's just cut the BS. Elon is advocating for less government spending and particularly less waste, fraud, and abuse, and they're having an absolute tantrum over it. Soros, on the other hand, spends his money to elect radical activist DAs and sow chaos, thuggery, and unrest in America. Big difference there, but hey, they know that. They just have to cry about something. Joining me now on this Christmas Eve is the Will Cain Show host, Will Cain. All right, well, lots to talk about today. Thank you for joining me on Christmas Eve, by the way, from the home studio. I really appreciate it. But the AOC, I mean, a couple of moments in that clip there, I thought she was going to be swallowed by her own blankets and her own couch or bed or wherever she was TikToking from. But I think it's really funny the way that they're trying to pit Elon and Trump against each other. Do you think it's going to work?
No, I don't think it's going to work. And I think it is so nakedly, obviously disingenuous, Tommy. In a way, it's nothing new. It's just a matter of degree. What I mean by that is it's not new. They've always had proxies to attack Donald Trump. They've even had proxies going back for decades to attack Republicans, whether or not it was Rush Limbaugh, then Fox News, then Joe Rogan. Now the proxy of the month is Elon Musk. And it's a matter of degree. It is the biggest yet. He is the biggest of these targets. But it's so disingenuous because their concern is not truly Elon Musk. It is a proxy attack on Donald Trump. And it's disingenuous in that it's not coherent with what they've been telling us for the past decade. And it reveals the lies, not just of now, of the last decade. So we were told, Tommy, that Donald Trump is a fascist, that he's a dictator. And in a matter of a night, he's turned into an oligarch, a puppet for Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. All of it's disingenuous. It doesn't matter what the ad hominem attack is, what you accuse him of being. It's just that you are attacking. That's what they have to continue to do, to attack Donald Trump. And right now, again, the flavor of the month, the way to do that is to attack Elon Musk and pretend that he is president-elect behind the scenes and that there's tension brewing and Trump is bristling at Elon Musk. None of it is true. None of that is true. It's just the same old tired, but a new angle and matter of degree attack on Donald Trump.
But Will, we know that Donald Trump does have an ego, of course. That was the debate with Kamala Harris, and Kamala kind of got to him about, his crowd sizes, and he does feel the need to respond. And at the Turning Point USA America Fest, he did say something to the effect of, Elon's never going to be president. He's not president. He wasn't born here. He couldn't be president. Of course, it's all fun, and I think that he and Elon are very close. I don't think that this feud they're trying to create with the Democrats just needing something to do with themselves, I don't think it's going to work. But do you think that we could reach an actual point where Donald Trump kind of reins in Elon Musk, at least on Twitter? Because I know last week, I believe that there were probably some folks in the Trump atmosphere that were a little annoyed with Elon's tweeting about the government shutdown. Do you think that there's at any point there where Donald Trump is going to say, like, hey, tone it down a little bit?
I always appreciate a thought experiment. I do. I always do appreciate a hypothetical. I don't like it when either a football coach or a politician says, I don't deal in hypotheticals. But I'm a little hesitant to take on this hypothetical because in a way, Tommy, it's exactly what I think was intended by this entire storyline. Like when I read in Politico that Donald Trump is bristling at the suggestions that Elon Musk is in power, I think they want us to have this conversation because they want us to sow this division between the two men. And to your point, like rile the ego of Donald Trump. Of course he has an ego, a deserved ego, but of course he has an ego. And the suggestions that Elon Musk is the real power behind the throne would upset Donald Trump. So I'm a little hesitant to indulge the hypothetical, but I still will because I like you, Tomi Lahren. And I will say that you can't imagine a day where those two's relationship isn't necessarily rosy or hand in hand down the yellow brick road into the far distant future. I don't think that manifests in, hey, rein it in, Elon, tweet less. That sounds like an unrealistic thing to hope for. Like both of these men can't rein it in and won't be reined in by each other or anyone else. But it could at some point, Tommy, be a distancing of Elon Musk from Donald Trump.
And I think that if it comes to a point where Donald Trump doesn't agree with Elon Musk on things which have already happened, I don't think Donald Trump is going to be worried about defying Elon Musk. Donald Trump doesn't care about defying anybody. I have to get your take because this is the newest panic thing, okay? It was like the Elon is president, and now today it's Donald Trump is going to take over the Panama Canal by force. He's going to invade a sovereign nation, retake the canal again because of a comment that he made on stage. I thought he was, again, making a funny comment, like he made the comment about Governor Trudeau and Canada being the 51st state. I don't think he's serious about taking over the Panama Canal. I think he's just sending a message like, hey, the shipping rates are too high. You need to lower those. Stop taking advantage of the United States. And I think it was just a comment that he makes to get his policy, his actual policy ambitions in motion. But now people are freaking out. He's going to take over the Panama Canal. So what do you think about the reaction to that one?
I think it's amazing on three levels. First of all, I think it's hilarious. It's just funny. I mean, you can't help but go, wow, Greenland, Canada, Mexico, the Panama Canal. It's fun. I'm sorry. And two, I like a vision of American governance that is now basically saying, look, we're in charge and we're not going to pretend. I'm tired of pretending that we're not. I'm tired of our fake humility. And our fake humility then manifesting into actual weakness. Like if we want something and you're giving us a raw deal, then guess what? We're going to go ahead and flex our muscle. We built the Panama Canal. We granted it over to you, as Donald Trump said, very magnanimous gesture. And the last thing we're going to do is either watch you change it over to the influence of the Chinese Communist Party or rake us over the coals and give us a bad deal. No, we'll just take it right back. You know why? Because we can, and it's right. Because we're the United States of America. I'm someone that happens to believe if we go to war, we should reap the spoils of war. I'm not talking about Panama now. I'm talking about in every situation, we should be gauging what is serving the American interest, from canals to oil fields to exploration. And that takes me to my third thing I love about this, Tommy. I read books about the age of exploration. I love it. Like, pioneers pushing west, of course, the civilization, the taming of Texas, exploring the great Mountain West, your home state of South Dakota and the Lakota and the Sioux. I love the edge, frontiersmanship, wildness. I read about Arctic explorers and Antarctic explorers. I love it. Successful and failures of guys who are trying to push the limits of human exploration. I don't know. I like a little bit of this. Let's return to an age of expansion, America. Let's go ahead and see what does Greenland offer us? Hey, what does Antarctica offer us? Maybe we take back the Panama Canal. I like a grand vision of manifest destiny for America.
Yes, I was just going to say manifest destiny. I think all of us remember that from our 5th grade classes. Of course, the left is going to absolutely freak out over it because they need something. And I think that the shtick has worn off of people. It's like Donald Trump says something that's kind of crazy. People think about it. They might have an initial reaction and then they move on because they're just sick of it. Other big news, though, that we've been talking about over the weekend. And again, normally during the Christmas season, we don't have a ton to talk about politically. We just talk about holiday travel and this, that, and the other. No, there's plenty going on. Over the weekend, there was a little bit of hysteria, and maybe rightfully so, about Representative Kay Granger, who apparently has been in some kind of an assisted living facility, hasn't cast a vote since July 24th. I mean, I think people are a little concerned. Again, I think some of the outrage, given we've had a president who's been MIA for the last 4 years and is now signing pardons and commutations. Not sure if it's him or an intern doing it, by the way. But, this is a little bit startling. I think the American people are a little concerned, Republican or Democrat, that you might have somebody that hasn't been present and available because they might have memory issues or they might need to be in assisted care, but yet they're still an elected official who's receiving taxpayer funding and also representing taxpayers. How concerned do you think we should be about something like this? Is it time to take a look at term limits? I know we say it all the time, but are we finally reaching that point where maybe things have gotten so wild that this actually comes to fruition?
We should absolutely be concerned. Isn't she also, the headline you have on the screen shows that she has dementia or is in a memory care unit, isn't she also like chairwoman of the of Ways and Means or Appropriations Committee? She's like got a massive job. She's from Texas. She's from right here. And it is it's not, I want to say it's embarrassing, but it's like, it's incredible. And like by the technical definition of that word, it's not credible for the United States of America to have someone in office that literally is not of their full capacity. And I get your point about the president of the United States. I also give you, look, let's be real about the former Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
I mean, he's not clearly there at least a good chunk of the time. And that is just like beyond the pale that it's not an ageism thing. I don't care if you're an octogenarian or a nonagenarian. I don't care what your age is. Donald Trump is proof of that. He's 77 years old and he has more energy than me. And that's a fact. Like I've seen it. He has more energy than me in my 40s. So it's not an age thing. But we have to have some test. And the truth is we probably can't impose cognitive tests, Tommy. We have a history in America where that has been set aside because of its impacts on, racial disparities or whatever it may be. Although we should have a cognitive test. We have to find some kind of way around it because we can't have impaired cognitive people running America. Pretty easy statement to endorse. Can't have cognitively impaired people running America. So but I am someone who believes in term limits. Yes, I do. I don't want professional politicians. I don't care about your experience. Whatever it is, 2 terms for a senator is 12 years. I don't know. I don't know how many for a rep, but at some point the term limit takes care of at least the cognitive impairment tied to age. It should, right? So I guess unless we're electing 80-year-olds for the first time and we're trying to keep them from losing their marbles at 88, but I do think it's the best proxy, a term limit, and it has other benefits like, lobbying effects. Where do I go after this? Why are you there for 30, 40 years? Why aren't you a citizen farmer? Go make a living. Go back to your home state.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this too. I just don't understand why there's not just baseline rules about having to show up. I know that they really monkeyed with that during COVID because everyone was scared to go in person, but it's like most people have to actually show up at their job. They can't just have an intern running their social media and doing things, for them. They actually have to be there. And it's really odd to me that Congress, it's like, oh no, like if you need to be in a facility, like that's all good. I just don't think that that's appropriate. I think you should have to actually show up for work. They already get a lot of time off. So it's very odd to me that we just accept truancy when it comes to our elected leaders. That's just not okay. And I feel really badly for anybody who has a cognitive impairment, has dementia, needs to be in assisted care, but you probably shouldn't be in that position at this point. And I don't think it's wild for us to question this. And again, speaking of the pardons and commutations, I think that Joe is at the point now where he's not running anything. I happen to think it's like a green-haired activist intern that's like, sign this, sign that, and he's just not paying attention whatsoever. I would really be shocked if all these pardons and commutations that are coming out, 37 of 40 federal death row, he's like, you know what, they deserve to maybe have some mercy. I just don't even think it's him at this point. I don't know who it is, but this is going to be really wild for the Democrats to kind of try to clean up here. I don't even think the Democrats want to be rushing toward this. Like, yes, you're on death row, but we want to show you some mercy for murdering children. I mean, where do they go from here with Joe?
Well, and real quick, what sticks out to me as well. So you've got among those 37 of 40 guys who've had their death sentence taken down to life sentences, you've got Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the Boston Marathon bomber. You've got Dylan Roof, the South Carolina church racially motivated shooting. So what's fascinating about that, Tommy? These are some guys that, that are horrible people. And also, they're some of the most high-profile cases in terms of media coverage and the easiest, most unanimous verdict of villainy that most times you're going to get in America. And now, Hunter Biden is on the same list as Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Like, what did Joe Biden do in his last 2 months of his office? He reduced the sentences or pardoned Dylan Roof, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, Hunter Biden. Nice company you keep yourself in, Biden.
Yeah, it's really odd. And I think with some of those that have terrorist ties, they're saying that maybe they don't qualify. But either way, just to even have that in the discussion, if you're on death row, you're there for a reason. A lot of these folks are there because they murdered children in brutal and horrific ways. And the family members to have to sit there and be like, oh, Joe's showing some mercy. It's just weird to me that he would think like that's the legacy I want to have. But I don't think it is. I just think he's not even aware enough to know. Now, there's other reports coming out that Biden made Gold Star families wait while he took a nappy nap. I mean, this, to me, I know we're going to talk about the end of the year and the biggest lies, and they think it's about eating the dogs and eating the cats, which I believe is still totally plausible, by the way. But I think all of those folks that spent so long telling us that Joe Biden's okay, he's on top of his game, I think all of those people, I think their political careers should be over. Because to me, that's the biggest lie of the decade, at least. That Joe Biden has been okay. People were seeing this. They were experiencing it on a day-to-day basis. And the fact that they were able to cover it up for so long, the fact that they were able to make us think that we were crazy for questioning it for so long, to me, that's just the lie of the decade, if not more. And I don't know how Democrats rebound from that. Does anybody who tried to say that Joe Biden was okay, including Kamala, do they have even a career and a future? I mean, I think this should be brought up continually if they ever try to do anything again.
Well, is and should are not the same. And so should they have a career in the future? Absolutely not. Will they have a career in the future? Absolutely they will. I give you Juicy Smollett. I mean, that's one of the biggest lies of the past, decade. And the people that ran out there that said, that some white MAGA good old boys carrying a noose and I can't even remember milk cartons of bleach around randomly ran into the star actor of Empire and recognized him and said, this is MAGA country. One of the most absurd stories that they ate up hook, line, and sinker. And those people are still running around here collecting checks for millions. So we should do this, Tommy. We should probably do like a Tomi Lahren is Fearless and a Will Cain Show crossover in this because it's hard to do. Like, to your point on how they get away with this, that Joe Biden is cognitively fine, volume. It's volume. Like, one lie runs into the next one, and you don't have time to fully catalog, remember, and inventory the previous lie. So we do need to go back. Like, there does need to be, I don't know what you're talking about, where you'll say at the end of the year, they'll do the biggest lie and they'll talk about eating cats and dogs. Maybe that is like a Time magazine.
That was a PolitiFact put that out, that was the biggest, most dangerous lie, is that the Haitian immigrants were eating the cats and the dogs and the pets, the people that lived there. Yeah. I mean, again, I still think that's pretty plausible. So
we should do it because you're absolutely right. Like the president is, it's not that he's okay. It's like they said he's sharp as a tack and he's the top of his game. Is one of the biggest lies of the year. But I'm only saying one of because I'm bad with a blank page. Like I'm just sitting here brainstorming. There have been other huge whoppers this year, and I'm just trying to remember them all, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe like in early January, a Tomi Lahren is Fearless, Will Cain Show crossover where we literally get like a blackboard, and we got to inventory this thing. We got to go biggest lies of the year because there might be one bigger than Joe Biden is cognitively great. I don't remember off the top of my head. There'll be so many, there's a huge volume of big lies.
Yeah, I won't pardon my son is another one. I mean, you're right. We do need to get a board out here. But speaking of some of the crazy things that have happened over the weekend, I don't know if you ride the subway when you're in New York City. I've never ridden the subway. I'm terrified of it. I never would. It just scares me. I'm from South Dakota, so the thought of if being on a subway already would terrify me, even if things weren't as bad as they already are. But I think it's so wild that you have got Governor Kathy Hochul yesterday tweeting out over the weekend, like how safe the subway is because they've got cameras to capture people being burned alive. Now, we've got some of the video footage of this, and it is graphic, but you've got a Guatemalan migrant who's been arrested for setting a sleeping woman on fire. And then you've got Kathy Hochul saying, don't worry, things are getting better. We've captured this in 4K now, so you can see someone being burned alive. I mean, if you're an average New Yorker, you're a young woman, you are a child, or you're, somebody that's in a vulnerable class, why would you ever take the subway? Like, I never would.
So, Tommy, this weekend, like it was last Thursday night into Friday, I took my oldest son and a couple of his buddies out to the country, kind of where I grew up. And We shot a 9mm and a 380 on Thursday. We woke up on Friday. We shot sporting clays, trap, shotguns. They had a ball. And then from there, I drove to Austin and I watched University of Texas play Clemson in the college football playoff. I tell you all that because I spent a lot of this weekend with a friend and with my wife just kind of going, isn't it so great we live here again, that we're back in Texas? It's been 5 years now we're back in Texas. I tell you that because I lived in New York for 15 years. In the beginning, when I moved to New York, it's all an adventure. And part of the sort of edginess and potential for danger is part of the attraction. Like, did I ride the subway? Absolutely. And the fact that it kind of felt adventurous in the beginning was kind of attractive. I'll tell you, I rode the subway all the time. And then it loses that adventurousness and it becomes rote. It becomes your daily commute. It becomes normal. And I did that. And I rode it with my kids on Sundays at 7:30 without a doubt, which is when this took place. I would have been on that subway with my kids headed to maybe a soccer game somewhere in the city. And it becomes normal and you take for granted a level of safety. And when I read about this story and saw that video, I just thought I could have been on that train with my boys. I really could have. It just takes me back to that feeling I've had all weekend. I'm so glad I'm back in Texas. It is incredibly scary. I'm not sure I'd ride the subway with my boys again now. And you just keep coming back to the fact that this man doesn't belong in America. I mean, there's the criminal aspect. Like, if this was an American criminal, it would also be a travesty and also terrible and also an indictment on Kathy Hochul. But the fact that it's an illegal immigrant makes it also an indictment on Joe Biden, who allowed this person into the country in 2000. He's been here I think he's actually been here for 5 or 6 years. He has never been deported. I don't know if he's committed crimes, but the bottom line fact is he shouldn't be here. And we shouldn't have illegal immigrants committing crimes in Georgia or in New York or in Texas or anywhere else.
Yeah. And I mean, New York, I know that Mayor Eric Adams wants to do his best, work with Tom Homan and all that. And I think it's great. I think he's really trying to save his own hide here. And I think, to me, it's too little too late. Like, glad that you came to this realization, but it's a little late, buddy. But to me, I'll tell you what I think is frustrating. I see it a lot, and I see it a lot even on our own channel. It's like, don't worry, we're going to focus on the criminal aliens first. Like, that is the priority, understandable, and rightfully so. However, in my opinion, I think that the 10 million that came over under Joe Biden, where we know that the vetting was subpar, to say the least, that's being very kind. And we know that these people have bogus asylum claims for the most part. We know that these people are taking advantage of the system. I think that the 10 million that came over in the last 4 years, I think that they need to be removed just regardless. Again, criminal aliens first. I think that's a great starting point. But I'm one of those people that's like, I really don't have a lot of empathy for the 10 million that came under Joe Biden. I think that all of those people need to leave. I think they need to go back to their country of origin. And if they want to reapply to come the right way, all right, we can have that discussion. But I'm not one of those people that's like, oh no, if you're here and you haven't set a woman on fire, like, you can get a pass. Don't worry, Tom Homan's not coming for you. I don't have that kind of sympathy or empathy for these people that came over. And I'm wondering if you do.
No. I mean, what's interesting is and I'm going to be completely honest with you in the audience. So because I live in Texas, Tommy, I know some of those types of people, right? Who are hardworking, different, often in the construction trades type of individuals who come from various countries across Central America. And so on a personal level, do I have empathy for some of those people or sympathy for some of those people? I absolutely do. But on a macro level, it's undeniable the effect that illegal immigration has on us as a country, even beyond the criminal aliens, to your point. I'm a big believer, Tommy, in assimilation. I just am. And you can be a great person, and you can be contributing to an economy, and you can be contributing to a society and raising great children. And that's not the end of the debate. The debate is still, are you assimilating into the culture of America? The culture of America is what created this place that you want to come. It's why there's an economy that sings, a general safe place to live. We like to walk around this world like, oh, what's culture in America? Well, we have a great culture. You can keep your French culture. You can keep your Italian culture. You know what we have in America? We have a culture that created the world's preeminent civilization, period. And so if you want to come here legally, I think beyond that, we have a certain level of expectation of assimilation. Every other place in the world does, by the way. Why wouldn't we? So when you have 10 million people who are coming in illegally, you are compromising the fidelity of the culture of America.
Yeah, I think so too. And for me, it's just a lot of these that have come over in the last 4 years, a lot of them are, 20-something-year-old males that are coming from other country, military-aged males. And I'm just thinking to myself, we're allowing these people to just take up residence at shelters and basically run their drug and sex trafficking rings out of these shelters or out of the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. And we're just saying, like, this is all fine and these people, deserve the right to be here and wait for their court case in the next 4 years. Like, I believe that if you come illegally, I believe that the law has always been, you come over illegally, you are apprehended, you are detained, you get your process, but then you are deported. And while you're awaiting your process, you are in detention because nobody wants to come over here and be detained. But now we've just gotten to the point where it's like, well, if you come over, we'll let you roam around the country. And then if you do something wrong, then we'll come find you later and we'll try to get you out at that point. To me, it's a non-starter discussion. I think Donald Trump ran on mass deportations, yes, on removing criminal aliens, but on mass deportations because our cities and our states cannot handle all of these people from all over the world coming in and using our resources. And I just think it's at some point, it's like you've got to reverse what has been done. So I hope that that's what Tom Homan and Donald Trump are going to do. I think Donald Trump's very honest about it. In wrapping up, before I let you go enjoy your Christmas Eve, I have to ask you what you will be doing with your family for this Christmas and New Year, and also what you're most looking forward to in 2025.
Well, we had family Christmas last night with the extended family. So I got a lot of nieces and nephews that are like in that perfect age range, like 4 or 5. So it's just wrapping paper flying everywhere. And one of my nephews turned to me and said, "This is the best day ever." So we've already begun the season of Christmas. We will be home for Christmas, which is where we like to be. But we will at some point go to Florida for a soccer tournament. So it's a holiday with its own still obligations. But my favorite thing, Tom, is I'm going to get to be around for it. I have to work here and there, as I'm sure you will here and there as well. But I'm going to get to be around for it. What I'm looking forward to in 2025 is I think we're in store for one of the most ambitious, unique moments in the history of America. No over-exaggeration. I think that is an accurate statement of what we stand on the verge of potentially watching in America. I'll just leave you with this, Tommy. Like a week ago, I told you I went to Texas Clemson this past weekend. The week before that, I went to Army Navy. And I was privileged enough to go into the president's suite. And I looked around, and it was really fun. And I looked around, and I was talking to Tulsi. Of course, I was hanging out with Pete. And there's Elon, and there's, John Thune and Mike Johnson, and on and on and on and on, and J.D. Vance, and of course the president. And it occurred to me, Tommy, like everyone here is like an outsider in some way, highly qualified, highly intelligent, highly principled, but an outsider. There's no way that the incoming administration of Obama or Bush felt the way that felt that day. And so I just think, I actually said it to the majority leader, your senator, John Thune of South Dakota. I said, this is not only rare, this is not only unique, this might be a once-in-a-lifetime potential moment here in American history. And he agreed. And so I'm really excited to see what begins here in 2025.
I am too. January 20th is going to be a great day. I think it's going to be, for me, the second Christmas, maybe Independence Day. I am most excited for Tom Homan. I think that's my number one thing there. Last question, and I will let you go. Who do you think, and I know we're all pulling for Pete, and I think Pete's going to get through, by the way. Who do you think is going to have the toughest time, aside from Pete, in the confirmation process that we're going to start here in a matter of weeks? I think it's going to be very exciting. But who do you think are you worried about? Is there anybody that you're worried about getting across the finish line?
Well, when I say worry, there are certain individuals that will have to be fought for, and for various reasons. Remember now, there will be 53 Republican senators. Of course, that includes Murkowski and Collins, who are kind of halvesies. But that still leaves you with 51 Republican senators that should be able to approve any cabinet member, and should approve, in my book, any cabinet member of Donald Trump. But knowing the mindset of a lot of Republican senators, and let's be clear, and I'm not going to use this as a pejorative, it's just a descriptor. A lot of them are neocons, that I believe that will make it hardest for Tulsi, and that she will have to be fought for, because there will be skepticism about her prior party affiliation, her dovishness on, the expansive use of American military might. I think that's what will end up being the biggest fight, but I think it's also a fight that can and should be won by Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think Kash Patel might have a difficult time. And I'm such a huge fan of Kash Patel. So I hope that he makes it across the finish line. And I really hope that he does some great things. I think that we're going to just restore things, not only back to the way that they used to be, but just a better version of that. And as you mentioned, it's kind of like the island of misfit toys, but in the best way possible. And it's representative of the American people. I think that there's a lot of diversity, and the left loves diversity of everything but thought. And there's a ton of diversity of thought within this Trump cabinet and this Trump orbit. And I'm excited for that because I think you get a lot of really smart people who come from different parts of the country and different ideological parts of the spectrum, and you put them all together and they're the best and the brightest. And I think you got something great there. And for as much as they say that Donald Trump is like an egomaniac, he's putting really smart, high profile in their own way people around him.
Yeah.
So somebody who doesn't have a lot of confidence can't do that. Joe Biden couldn't do it. He picked Kamala. He picked someone dumber than him. And Donald Trump's doing the exact opposite.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know, they wrote books about this when Democrats do it, called Team of Rivals. This is an ideologically diverse, but unified in its dedication to a vision of America group of people that is absolutely exciting, if just short of revolutionary.
I can't wait. Total upheaval is what the American people wanted, and I think that they're going to get it. Well, very Merry Christmas to you and your family. Enjoy Texas. It's great to be in a red state for Christmas and for all holidays, really. God bless you, and I will talk to you in the new year. We will crown our biggest liars on the way out. I look forward to doing that.
Okay, Merry Christmas, Tomi.
Merry Christmas. All right, folks, that does it for this very special Christmas Eve episode of Tomi Lahren is Fearless. A very Merry Christmas to you. I will see you back here Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. From Nashville, God bless and take care. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.